All right. Good morning, everyone. You can do a little better. Good morning, everyone. That's what we like, and I love the sound of the voices of the kids over here. You guys practice that good morning thing often, don't you? Yes, I see the nod. Well, welcome to the National Environmental Museum and Education Center celebration. I am Kimberly Patrick, and I will share some of the most important things about myself because we do have young people here. I'm a very proud product of the DC public school system. Yes, I am. And I'm also a double graduate of a historically black college and university, and those are two things I lead with all the time wherever I go. And I'm also, this is the third thing, I'm the Principal Deputy Assistant Administrator for the Office of Mission Support here at the Environmental Protection Agency. And because we have young people here, let me tell you what that means. You ready? It's going to be a quiz later. Contracts, grants, facilities, IT, human resources. You got it? All right, that's what I do for EPA. So I was asked to give remarks on behalf of the employees here at the agency. And because I give credit where credit is due, there's a movie called Brown Sugar. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's a love story where in the movie, one of the main characters asks the other one, when did you fall in love with hip hop? And the question's really a metaphor for their love. He's not really asking about hip hop. It's really, when did you fall in love with me? Well, I asked myself, when did I fall in love with EPA? And it was nearly 29 years ago. I was a legal intern at EPA Region 4, and I was tasked with working on a Superfund case. First, I had to research what on earth Superfund was, because I had no idea. And then I was working on finding a potentially responsible party for that case. Before I knew it, I loved public service. And then later on, I fell in love with EPA during that summer. And it's a love affair that has lasted ever since then. It became my mission to be a part of this agency, no matter what. This museum contains representation of love points, as I call them, for every employee that has fallen for this place over the last 53 and a half years. This museum shares with the public so they can learn why and how our hearts are uniquely tethered to EPA. On behalf of EPA employees, we hope that the visitors to the National Environmental Museum and Education Center fall in support, fall in understanding, and fall in love with EPA and the environment, just like we have. At this point, I'm delighted to welcome Ms. Vernice Miller-Travis, co-founder of We Act for Environmental Justice and Executive Vice President of the Metropolitan Group. Thank you.
Good morning, all. It's going to be hard to give these remarks and look at the faces of so many amazing people who I have worked with. I do not work for the United States Environmental Protection Agency. Though my late husband, who was a Fed himself at the Department of Health and Human Services, used to tell everybody in his family when they asked what I did, because they couldn't understand exactly what I did, he would say, "She works for EPA." And I would say, "Charles, stop telling people that." And they really thought I worked for EPA because I've spent so much time working with people here over many, many, many decades. But the message I want to bring to you today on this historic occasion of the opening of the National Environmental Museum and Education Center at U.S.EPA is to think about all the employees, all the people at EPA who you don't get to see, you don't get to know unless, like me, you bug them really, really, really intensely over decades, but who have kept the mission of the agency moving forward through good times and through bad times. There have been some really, really high moments, like right now, we are really rolling at U.S.EPA. But there have been some times when people were not always invested in the mission of this agency. And so I remember asking my husband, who started working at HHS during the Nixon administration and retired at the end of the Clinton administration, how did you do it? How did you do it? How did you keep focused when there were times when folks were not invested in what the mission was? And he said, the political appointees come and go, but the line staff are always clear on what the mission is and keep focused on the mission. And so I want to lift up those people. I had a chance to tour the museum with Joanne, who has done a magnificent job of putting this museum together. Magnificent job. And the one person I didn't see, and hopefully we can squeeze a picture of her in, is Clarice Gaylord, who established the Office of Environmental Justice at U.S. EPA. I had the opportunity to spend some time with Administrator Riley recently, former Administrator Riley recently at the Riley Awards, and I shared with him that Clarice always says that she was never asked to set up the Office of Environmental Justice. She was told this was her job and this is what she was supposed to do. It's wonderful to see the lift up of environmental justice inside, but it's also wonderful to see the lift up of all the other programs, all the other statutes, all the other work that U.S. EPA has done. So there are a lot of people in the audience here who I have been a real pain in their side over decades. And I just want to say, I appreciate you being so kind and receiving it, because I was not kind in giving it. But I thank you for what you've done. And last but not least, before I introduce the next speaker, I want to lift up my colleague, former colleague, Charles Lee. And Charles is, very unassuming. Charles does not take up a lot of space, but so much work intellectually on the field of environmental justice we would know nothing about had it not been for Charles's passion, had it not been for Charles's drive, had it not been for Charles having the really good sense to hire me as his research assistant in 1986. So Charles, you are in that museum, your artifacts. I told Joanne, Charles got a lot more stuff that he could donate to the museum, including my pen that President Clinton gave me when he signed the executive order on environmental justice. Charles was caught in a snowstorm and not able to be there, so I gave Charles my pen. Charles, I think we should give it to the museum. What do you think? So let me introduce the next speaker, Ms. Espinosa, who is here representing the National Education Association Foundation, and we'll move on with our program. Thank you so much.
Good morning. It's really wonderful to be here on this beautiful day celebrating the National Environmental Museum and Education Center for us at NEEF _ on education. I am here with the National Environmental Education Foundation, and fun fact, NEEF was established by Congress as a nonprofit partner to the EPA to advance environmental education. Our mission at NEEF is to make the environment more accessible, relatable, relevant, and connected to people's daily lives. And environmental education helps people understand those connections between the environment and human beings, those links between the health of our communities and nature and our own well-being. And the more information and knowledge we have, the better equipped we all are to make decisions every day that move us towards a more sustainable future. NEEF's work often focuses on collaborating with educators and students to get them beyond the classroom and outside, collecting data, investigating, developing solutions to real-world challenges in their communities. We know that when young people have an opportunity to participate in those kinds of projects, not only do they strengthen those STEM skills, but they also can see how they make a difference in their community, and they can see themselves in future environmental careers like those here at EPA. So one of the things that I find most exciting about this museum and environmental center is that it's not only a tour of the rich history of the agency and its people and its work, but it's also a space where young people in particular can envision themselves in those careers, in this agency, developing innovations and solutions that help us address some of these really big challenges that we're facing today. So with that, I just want to say a huge congratulations to EPA. And I know I personally and my colleagues at NEEF are looking forward to promoting this community hub as a space for learning and inspiration and action going forward. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce Gabriel Nagel, who is the co-chair of the National Environmental Youth Advisory Council. Thank you.
Good morning. It's lovely to join you all today. My name is Gabriel Nagel, and I am the chairperson of the EPA's new National Environmental Youth Advisory Council. As chairperson of NEAC, I've had the opportunity to deeply engage with fellow activists from across the nation, hearing their stories and gathering insights that expand across a broad range of experiences and visions for our future. I've shared my experiences as a Colorado native and Filipino-American climate justice advocate, and I've heard the experiences of others, ranging from the indigenous community of Alaska to rural Texas. One fundamental truth has resonated throughout all of these interactions, and that's the power of storytelling. By sharing our experiences and lessons, we can foster a deeper understanding of what environmental justice means and how we can achieve it. The climate crisis is so much more than charts of carbon emissions and global temperature rise, the same charts that I saw back in high school. Instead, it's fundamentally about people. The EPA Museum recognizes this reality, and it provides a space to collectively reflect on the stories of our nation's environmental activists, leaders, and change makers who have fought every day, dedicating their lives to our planet and people. For young people like myself, this museum offers a unique window into the history and the achievements of the EPA. It invites us, as young people, to explore the pivotal moments in environmental advocacy, understand the evolution of policies and practices, and perhaps most importantly, see ourselves as part of this ongoing narrative. I'm actually quite a bit jealous, if I'm being honest here, that this museum wasn't open back in my 7th grade DC trip, and you all here are quite lucky that you can see it now. And I hope that the EPA Museum becomes more than just a repository of the past. I hope that it can serve as a springboard for young climate activists nationwide. Here, they can connect with the stories of past advocates, draw inspiration from their challenges and their victories, and continue to see themselves and find a commitment to this vital work. Now, I'm excited to introduce an environmental hero who has continually inspired my fight for environmental justice. Administrator Michael S. Regan, the 16th Administrator of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Administrator, yes, yeah, a round of applause. Administrator Regan is the first Black man and the second person of color to lead the EPA. Hailing from Goldsboro, North Carolina, Administrator Regan's passion for the environment developed from hunting and fishing with his father and grandfather. Before taking on his current role, Administrator Regan served as the Secretary of the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality. As EPA Administrator, he's leading the agency in its efforts to tackle climate change, advance environmental justice, and ensure that all people have clean air to breathe, clean water to drink, and the opportunity to lead a healthy life. Administrator Regan holds a bachelor's degree in Earth Systems and Environmental Science from North Carolina's Agricultural and Technical State University, and a master's degree in Public Administration from George Washington University. He and his wife, Melvina, are proud parents to their son, Matthew. Please join me in welcoming Administrator Regan.
All right, good morning, everybody. This is a great crowd out here today. Yeah. I hate following the people I'm following because you all have taken all of my lines, so I don't really know what else to say. Gabriel, thank you for your leadership and for leading this important effort to represent all of our young people. I see we have a number of young people over here as well, slightly younger than Gabriel, but Gabriel made a very important point, which is this museum is for you all, just as much as it is for the older folks. So thank you, Gabriel, for your leadership. Gabriel reminds us that our future is bright. And if we really rely on our young people, we will get it right. So we're counting on you, Gabriel, and we're counting on you students to really take us across the finish line. It's also great to be here today with a former EPA Administrator, Gina McCarthy, and yes, former Deputy Stan Myberg as well. It's not too often that we all get a chance to get together, and so I'm glad you all are here. I do want to say that, some of us borrow from really good ideas, and the EPA Museum was an excellent idea born under Gina McCarthy's administration. It actually was tucked away back in the Ronald Reagan building, and I would say that it wasn't necessarily on the main path here, but that might have served us well during the previous administration. It stayed hidden and unperturbed. So Gina, thank you for that brilliant foresight. Another thing that I'm really proud of about this museum is that the National Environmental Museum and Educational Center, it features a quote from every former EPA administrator since the inception of this agency. And I think that's very important because whether appointed by a Democrat or Republican president, as administrators, we all are a part of a very small group of people who have been privileged over the last 53 years to lead a very special agency. So I think Gina would agree with me that this is an honor and a privilege to be able to launch this educational center and museum. I'd also like to thank the career staff, whose consistency and dedication to EPA has been the continued push that this agency has needed to move forward. I'm really grateful for Kimberly Patrick and the leadership that she's provided and sort of that excellent statement she made about falling in love with EPA and what that means. I think she has demonstrated in a very articulate way how so many of us feel. So Kimberly, thank you for that. Really grateful to have Sarah here as well of the National Environmental Education Foundation, as well as Ms. Vernice Travis, who says she's a thorn in our sides, but I don't think we felt that way at all. So thank you for being here. It's truly an honor for me to lead the United States Environmental Protection Agency because it is an agency with such a strong, rich history. From its founding in 1970 to the implementation of the Clean Air Act, from our actions to tackle climate change to our fight to ensure that all communities equally benefit from the protections of our environmental laws, from the scientists and researchers who test the air quality and water safety, to the EPA emergency response personnel who are on the ground cleaning up after natural and environmental disasters. EPA's Environmental and Education Museum encapsulates our agency's rich history and celebrates the many heroes that are a part of it. Folks, history, as we all know it, is empowering. Acknowledging and understanding the past is vital for moving forward if we are to truly create a safer and healthier future. And while climate change is undoubtedly the greatest environmental challenge of our generation, our nation has experienced many major challenges before. From the Cuyahoga River repeatedly catching fire, to the BP oil spill, to the Flint water crisis that sparked a national movement to remove lead pipes from all of our communities. History has shown us that EPA can and will be central to addressing our greatest challenges. And this museum is a true testament to that. The intentionality of the space and how purposeful each element of EPA's story is being told is truly amazing. The National Environmental Museum and Educational Center is a space to celebrate EPA's history. It's a space for exploration and education, welcoming curious minds as young as 10 or older adults alike. And it's a space that pays homage to the public service, the activists, the everyday people who have worked tirelessly to safeguard public health and ensure our nation's treasured land and waters are protected for generations to come. I hope you all will take some time to tour the museum and learn more, not just about EPA, but also about the collective work of environmental justice communities, tribes, and everyday people. Everyday people who set out to make a small difference in the world and whose work, whose sacrifice and legacy are now memorialized for years to come. Check out the artifacts, the exhibits on PFAS, on air quality, on emergency response. And as you walk through the space, I hope you will feel that you too are a part of this rich history. The journey to get to where we are was long, and it wasn't easy. But it's proof that if we work together, we can overcome anything. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the countless people who have had a hand in bringing the National Environmental Museum and Educational Center to the finish line. To Deputy Administrator McCabe, Janet was here during the Obama administration, during the time where she and Gene and others envisioned the original museum. And Janet has kept that flame going. So Janet, thank you for your exceptional leadership in steering the museum project to its successful completion. And Janet has had a wonderful, wonderful partner in Joanne Amorosi. Joanne, thank you for your tenacity, your vision, your leadership. We would not be here without your help, so thank you so much. Yes. Thank you. It's Joanne's leadership, her experience. When you all see this museum, you will see a true work of art. And Joanne worked with the Smithsonian Institute, GSA, and EPA's Alumni Association for their partnership. And it goes to show you that as politicals, we come and go. But for the career staff who have kept that candle burning, we're so grateful. And this museum is a great testament of that. This museum has been years in the making. And it started, again, with the vision of Gina McCarthy, and it's continuing under the leadership of me as administrator. So thank you to everyone who's been a part of it, from the career staff to the activists to the everyday people. And may we continue to work together to build a cleaner, healthier future for all. Thank you all for coming, and I hope you all get a chance to see the museum.
Hi guys, are you having fun? Nice. Everything ready, sir?
All right. You all have scissors this big at school? No? All right. I want some credit. I carried them in a safe manner. All right. Everybody ready?
Yes.
Can y'all give me a countdown from 10?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Snap!
All right, we are open for business, so we hope y'all come visit.
All right, thank you guys so much.